CNBC TV 18 presents the AI Dialogues in association with IBM.
Welcome to our special podcast episode of CNBCTV18.com presents AI Dialogues in association with IBM. Now, the AI Dialogues campaign delves into the exciting synergy between AI, various business functions, diverse industries, and explores how organizations can harness its vast potential to outperform competitors, streamline operations, and unlock new revenue streams. In our exclusive conversation today, we'll focus on AI-powered finance, transforming operations with AI, a topic that is not only critical for the future of businesses, but also for driving innovation in highly regulated industries like pharmaceuticals. Artificial intelligence has emerged as a game changer in finance, bringing new levels of efficiency, precision, and foresight. From predictive analytics that shape financial strategies to AI-powered tools that streamline supply chains and optimize costs, the opportunities are immense. However, these advancements come with their own share of complexities, especially in sectors where trust and transparency are paramount. To explore these themes, we are thrilled to have with us two eminent industry leaders, Ramesh Swaminathan, Global CFO of Lupin, and Raman Kalra, VP and Senior Partner, Business Transformation Services Growth Platform Leader, IBM Consulting India and South Asia. Thank you very much for joining in. So, Ramesh, let me start this discussion with you. And just to set the context, now, pharma is a highly regulated industry. It's gone through its own fair of challenges with pricing pressure. Now, as a whole, how is it that your industry is using AI?
Okay, let me start by saying that this is constant change, which has been there throughout mankind, so to speak. The industrial revolution, so to speak, the first industrial revolution actually started with, in fact, the invention of steam. The second industrial revolution was all about electricity. The third industrial revolution was all about use of computers and the like. Not so long ago, we had the fourth industrial revolution in terms of IoT and what the data that it actually brought to the table and the like, and how do you actually assimilate that. The fifth industrial relationship is all about industrial revolutions is all about the symbiotic relationship that exists between industry and, in fact, mankind. Essentially from that perspective, it's artificial intelligence which is kind of powering that, and with that comes a host of other things as well. So we are looking at, in fact, changes when it comes to, the way we actually approach things in terms of the product and services. How do you customize that, in terms of the products for individual uses? How do you actually customize user experience and the like? The second is about a lot of emphasis on sustainability. The third that you actually see is moving away from mere prediction to more preemption. And lastly, the speed of response is a lot more today. We have seen punctuated response in terms of innovation, but today it's rapid innovation, which seems to be the game. From that perspective, a lot of things have changed. It's changed across the entire value chain. You spoke a lot about finance. It's not merely about finance, but every aspect of the value chain has been impacted by artificial intelligence and the way it is actually gathering momentum at this stage.
But you've been in the finance department and now CFO of Lupin for close to about 5 years now. As a CFO, as a new age CFO, how are you embracing AI in your operations?
If you speak about AI, I think from my perspective, it's not as though the core of finance is going to be any different. So finance, from my perspective, is about four things. Firstly, we protect value in terms of our custodial functions. The second is we actually release value in terms of making things simple in terms of processes and the like. The third is where we actually partner for value, where we actually are, partnered with, in fact, various functions and SBUs for getting value for them, for enhancing value for the company. And fourthly, how do you actually communicate value? Those core attributes of finance remain as they are. But if you look at finance as a function, you could break that into four aspects. One is, of course, the traditional transactional processing. That's transaction finance for you. Then you could talk about compliance finance. So the entire gamut of regulations and law that we are, that we need to adhere to various aspects of that and the like. Third is where we actually look at business finance, the partnering aspects of finance, and lastly, specialized finance. From my perspective, artificial intelligence kind of permeates every aspect of finance.
As you said, it permeates across, it cuts across all parts of finance. But Raman, come in on this, right? How does technology, AI in particular, bridge the gap between operational efficiency and increasing financial complexity and compliance in a regulated industry like pharma?
Yeah, I think that's and just leaning on to what Ramesh you spoke about. Uh, See what happens in a regulated environment. The some of the basics like single source of truth, the data integrity, the data traceability, audit trails, all of that are of significant importance. Whether it is on your R&D spendings, supply chain optimizations, or financial transactions itself. So whichever part of the business you pick, these are the very sensitive compliance requirements which are there. Not to talk about the various regulatory compliances that you have in different parts of the world, which are very differentiated. What happens with the new evolving phase of data power, the artificial intelligence, Gen AI, the time spans have changed dramatically. A lot of transactional finance can get completely automated now. When I say completely, to a large extent. We have worked with pharma companies and of course many other companies also, where 30 to 50% of efficiencies can come in very easily, very quickly. So imagine, 50% of time actually goes off from doing the transactional things. Compliances are taken care of because there is a complete audit traceability and data integrity in that. So those compliances get taken care of, and a lot of management time therefore goes into what next. The finance role has been evolving very fast. As we say, CFO is the most trusted advisor to the board. On many aspects. So in the new evolving role of CFOs in the finance community, artificial intelligence and Gen AI solutions can actually not only bridge the gap between operational efficiencies and unlock the value over there, also bring a lot more focus and agility and strength on business model innovation. We today live in a world which is very complex and full of uncertainties. You talk about geopolitical sensitivities across countries. Any of those can impact your supply chain. Your API supply chain, your raw material supply chain, your sales supply chain can get impacted. You talk about economic factors. A large economy going into a 0.5 points of recession or downturn can have a huge impact on you. How do you really bring all those aspects together with a fair amount of predictability on AI powered predictability, and dovetail that smartly into your enterprise data? Not only talk about macro, but macro and your enterprise data coming together. And that's when you say that, imagine, if you have to visualize, Ramesh, you have a liver in front of you saying that, okay, for example, what if this uncertainty continues for 6 more months? Or what if, let's say, the US economy, which is my X percentage of my global sales, behaves in a different manner? What could be impact on my cash flows, let's say, about 3 quarters down the line? It will do a lot of modeling and it will evolve those things. So I think that's where the power of AI comes in.
Now, have you used AI to your benefit to optimize supply chain, and how is it brought in efficiency or agility or strengthening the supply chain?
You need to be very careful about the use of AI. Let me talk about the fact that firstly, you need to assess the maturity of the organization to actually deal with something like this. Because firstly, it's not easy. There's a fatigue factor in trying to try out something new in any organization. So you need to be very clear about the fact that you would be in a position to succeed if you were to get into something new. So that's the first part. So really speaking about, you need to assess the maturity in terms of the data that is actually resident in various parts. And you would find that the data stacks exist in several parts, actually. So how do you actually work upon an architecture which connects all of these data points? That's an extremely important, that's why you have the data lakes and so on. But having said that, it's still an incomplete story when it comes to organizations. The second part is essentially, you would also find there's a clamor for getting a newer thing into every function, every SBU, and every part of the value chain. So clearly, you need to have an enterprise-wide, in fact, transformation which is going to be in progress. At the same time, prioritize on the various use cases for each of those parts of the value chain, and that's the second. The third is, whilst you do that, you'd also be careful about the fact that it's not going to be technology-led alone. It's important to kind of get the entire organization, the function galvanizing, rooting for it. Because if the ownership is not with the function or with the SBU, then it will not get embraced at all. And it'll go waste. From that perspective, it's important to get that. Fourth is, you need to constantly retool and reskill these people as well, because essentially, the it's a novel thing, but at the same time, how do you get people to use that? That's a very important thing. And lastly, there's always the challenge of making sure that there is no bias in terms of the data that gets there, because it actually could lead to wrong decisions and the like. So garbage in, garbage out, really. So how do we actually get the data right is very important.
Raman, any success stories or initiatives?
Today, companies, our industries are leveraging the power of AI and Gen AI, because you have a lot of external data also available today, to redesign the complete market basket options. The SKUs, the product SKUs that goes into at the retail level, across, you might have hundreds and thousands of retailers, or the pharmacies in this case, or the stockholders. What is it that you really stock there? That has a huge impact, not only on your inventory levels, also on your sales upliftment. So the right kind of stock keeping at a right store can uplift your sale, and we have done it. We have very recently done a pilot, Gen AI powered pilot with a company. We could see up to a 20% of upliftment in sales potential. Now imagine, that kind of, because you exactly can understand the sentiment and the consumer behavior much better than before, and integrate that in your stock keeping strategies. So one, it increases your sales optimal level. Second, it reduces your stock inventories. So your blockages of working capital goes down. It frees up cash flow for the organization, and the whole manufacturing integrated planning can come into force. So I think there's a huge potential that is getting unlocked on that aspect. I think one and the very, very important aspect of how do you really make rubber hit the road in terms of various models and various Gen AI or the artificial intelligence options which are there with you. Quicker reviews, quicker analysis of hundreds of pages of documents is something which is very, very easy. At the same time, what you can actually do is, for example, your talent acquisition. There is a big play that Gen AI can do on your talent acquisition processes. Risk, I always talk about enterprise risk management is extremely critical today. So from a CFO perspective, and also from the board perspective, for any board today, risk governance is very, very critical. So I think your ability for artificial intelligence to detect any risk and anomalies in any part of the business before it happens, is an extremely powerful tool in the hands of companies today. So I think some of these things are being done, are being adopted, of course, in different stage of evolution, but it is a reality now in a big way. It is very important to have a tighter governance there. We did a study, an IBB study, we call it, of global CEOs and CFOs. More than 70% of CFOs felt a very, very critical need of a governance around their AI, Gen AI adoption. And less than 40% believed that they're actually doing something about that. Because there are so many options out there. You have federated models, your finance function, supply chain function, you have sales, all of them can keep adopting something by themselves also. So that there are no hallucinations, there are no biases, and especially in pharma industry, which is a very regulated industry, how do you make sure that, the entire value chain is free of biases, is free of hallucinations? All the models that you adopt for Gen AI have got traceability and auditability. I think that is extremely, extremely critical. So I think that's where, but the point I would kind of sum up this whole aspect is that it is happening today. There are solutions. We have been working with the clients on this space, and it's a matter of fast tracking it, depending on the risk appetite and the strategies of the company.
You want to give us some answers on how one can regulate AI in a pharma industry, be more responsible?
See, as I said, it is to do with, number one thing is to really set up a governance framework. Number two, you have to really be very clear that you adopt those Gen AI models which have embedded compliance framework into it. There are Gen AI models with embedded compliance frameworks into it. For example, we as IBM, we launched a very, very focused what's the next governance, because we felt the critical need of that. But once you cross a journey, the critical need of governing it kicks in, right? For various reasons, whether it's statutory compliances or regulatory compliances or simple, business ethics or sustainability of your, profitable business. Any aspect you take, governance becomes important. So we launched Watson X governance sometime back. It can actually pick every single model that you have been trying to do or have been doing in your company. Where does that model stay on the governance framework? Are you compliant? Are you, are you free of hallucinations and biases? So I think there are very, very clear cut paths that companies can adopt to make sure that we walk this journey, we unlock the data, we leverage AI, we leverage Gen AI in a very, very compliant
Responsible.
manner and as a responsible AI.
To give us some example, right? Lupin and, product innovation and AI.
I could talk about Lupin for sure, and we are in fact experimenting with. In fact, we have in fact a program for oncology, and we have got and pretty big when it comes to the respiratory, and we have got into a relationship with, in fact, with companies which actually use artificial intelligence and algorithms for looking at drug discovery. We have got that program running for at least a couple of our molecules and so on. But of course, I can't delve into the details because it is specific to my company and there are confidentiality and so on. But clearly, the race is on, and people are using that, increasingly to actually, to kind of speed up the entire process itself. But I also wanted to raise the same level, at the same point, that there are pitfalls that one has to be aware of, and the Pfizer case is really a, case in point out there.
Raman, final comments?
Yeah, I'll just add, since it's a very, very it's very, very important and yet mostly ignored point in many aspects, that there is a human aspect of it. You will adopt AI or Gen AI to the best of interest that people in your company want to do it in the right fashion. So as we always say that the troops will march the orders if they know why. So if they really are sensitized about the criticality and the importance of right usage of AI, both in terms of business benefits and right usage of AI in terms of governance and compliances and the right models, both coming together. If that sensitization is there, if that ownership is there in people, I think then the evolution and adoption can get done much better here.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining in with your thoughts and insights. Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
And,
it's really a pleasure being out here, and thank you for having us on.
Okay, so as we wrap up this insightful discussion, one thing is clear, that AI is not just an enabler, but a catalyst for innovation in financial operations. Our guests today have highlighted the immense potential and challenges that come with this technology. Thank you once again, both Ramesh and Raman, for joining in with your valuable perspectives on how AI is shaping the future of finance and empowering organizations to achieve sustainable and responsible growth. Stay tuned for more such deep dives into the intersection of technology and business.
CNBC TV 18 presents the AI Dialogues in association with IBM.